The Last Journey Den Sista Resan, which was Sweden's entry for the Best International Feature at the 97th Academy Awards. A documentary by Lars Philip Hammer and Fredrik Wilkinson, who are commonly known as Filip och Fredrik. This is according to the wiki page, because I didn't know this, two Swedish writers, television hosts and journalists known for their youthful, though intellectual humour and unconventional journalism. Okay.
Well, one of them sounds Swedish and the other one certainly doesn't.
No, well, I'm just telling it like I see it. So, Philip is the son of retired French teacher Lars, who has lost his joie de vivre. His get up and go has got up and gone. All he does now is sits and feels bereft at the loss of youth, of agility, of his spirit, saying that life is not what it used to be. So basically, Philip decides that what he's going to do is, in order to give his dad back his lust for life, he's going to take him to his favourite place on earth, which is a resort in France. He loves France. He loves France above all other countries. He loves the culture. He loves the people. He loves the freedom. He loves the fact that they'll get into traffic arguments and yell at each other in the street and then just move on. And the son thinks that this is going to be a lifesaver. And he says, look, without this trip, I fear that he won't be with us much longer. But the father is not as nimble as he used to be. And at the very beginning, he falls over, he injures himself. So is the trip going to happen? Is he going to make it there? Is he going to rediscover his mojo? Now, if you've seen the trailer, the rest of the trailer, with its sort of tinkly and then relentlessly upbeat music, you'll not be surprised to know that the answer is probably not going to be no. What you might not expect is quite how much the journey is played like a drama. This is a documentary, but it is a very dramatized documentary. So there are some scenes which are deliberately dramatized. So, for example, in order to give his dad the experience of watching some French people argue in the street, they actually arrange some actors to have an argument in the street right in front of him, because they know how much he enjoys watching French people argue in the street. There's also a kind of harebrained diversion about, he once told an anecdote that was interrupted at a certain moment by a train passing by, which meant that he could pause before doing the punchline to the anecdote. And they try and recreate that with the train going by at the right moment. So there is a bunch of deliberate dramatization. What there is more of is just even the stuff which is just documentary stuff feels hugely staged and orchestrated. Now, I don't mean that doesn't mean it's not real, because what the documentary is about father and son bonding over this trip and somebody rediscovering the joy of life. But it is done in a way that is so orchestrated, so many drone shots, so much lush music telling you exactly how to feel, that you really feel like the thing is like reaching out and grabbing at your heartstrings and yanking them and going, okay, this is what's happening at this point. Now, there are some interesting things about it. It raises some interesting points. One of them being, that whole thing at the center of The Great Gatsby, which is my favorite novel of all time, which is people say you can't bring back the past. Of course you can. And there's a direct question in this about why can't you recreate the past and why shouldn't you? There's also evidence that this guy was, as a teacher, was absolutely loved by his pupils. And he seems to be a genuinely good and very, very humble man. When he smiles, he looks like Tim Spall. And I love Tim Spall. And there's that weird thing that if somebody resembles somebody you really like, you sort of get, sort of like secondary affection for them. And there is a thing that they return to a couple of times, which is that he's plagued by guilt. And the guilt that he's plagued by is that once, many years ago, he was rude to a taxi driver. And this really eats. So that's what kind of a guy he is. That the deep dark secret that he will be, have to face when, on the day of judgment, is that he was rude to a taxi driver. So look, it's very uplifting, and I'm sure we'll get some emails from people who go and see it and find it moving. And I did, and I wept and all the rest of it. Oh. It is very, very constructed and very saccharine and very sort of dramatized, not just in the dramatic situations. I would have liked a little more grit, but it's not that film. It's absolutely not that film. It is a film which says you are going to feel good about this, and we are not going to let you leave until you have felt good.
But you've left and you didn't feel good. So
no, I did. I mean, I said I.
You did feel good. Okay.
I did. I did. It got me. It's just. I felt it was ladled on too much. But then, that probably says more about my dark heart than it does about the film itself.